Well, we had a big announcement last month that Landrum has a new president, and it's Kara Bloomberg. And we've got Kara with us this morning. Kara, thank you so much for doing this show.
Hey, Rick, great to see you. Happy to be here.
Well, it's great to have y'all downtown.
Yeah,
It's exciting just to have Landrum downtown. Y'all been here for a while, but it's just another great sign of the growth and vibrancy of downtown Pensacola.
that's right. We love being downtown too. Well, we've been in Pensacola for over 50 years now, and we had a great office off of Davis Highway that they had been in for decades within Landrum, and that's where I started. And then COVID hit, and we had over 100 plus employees that came into the office every single day, and all of a sudden we weren't coming into the office. So we spent a lot of time reimagining how we were going to work and really what the next steps for us were going to look like. And we made a lot of changes around being more flexible with our workforce, having more opportunities for people to work remote, and also just thinking about the vibrancy, the growth of downtown, how everything is just really alive and really exciting, all the things that are happening downtown. And we wanted to be a part of that too. So we found a great space off of Garden Street. We redid a lot of area in the office to be really collaborative, a lot of great meeting space. We host events here, we host trainings, and it's fun just being here in the office and being able to walk out, go to a restaurant downtown. And we're headed to the Wahoos tonight if this rain doesn't let up.
Right.
So it's great space.
Well, you look at Landrum and how much it's grown and what a vital role to be able, HR is getting more and more complicated. The laws, the tax requirements, just having to be able to outsource for small business and for large businesses too, to lean on someone that's an expert in HR is becoming more and more important as it gets more and more complicated. Is that a pretty accurate description? I think it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a complex business, and that's a lot of times why clients need us because HR services aren't always totally black and white. Whenever you're dealing with people, there can be complexity. And so we feel we're really great at dealing with people. And in fact, just in the last year or so, we made a big change, a brand change. And Britt Landrum, the CEO, likes to joke it wasn't that radical, but we actually dropped the HR off of our name. And so if you see on the side of our building, even today downtown in Pensacola, it says Landrum. And the reason we did that is the more we thought about how we work with clients, the more services that we're providing to clients, it isn't necessarily just sitting in a traditional HR box anymore. It's really thinking about how do businesses work with their people? How are they using people to improve their business and grow? And what kinds of services can we provide? So we started out at Landrum as a traditional staffing business 50 plus years ago, and we provided people, and we still do that today in Northwest Florida. It's a critical, important part of our business, and I love how it's weaved into who we are all the time. When people say, hey, where do you work? Whether I'm at the doctor's office or the grocery store and I say Landrum, I can't tell you how many times people say Landrum gave me my first job, or Landrum gave my mom her first job, or and so it's such a feeling of pride to be part of so many people's lives in our community that we've helped affect by helping them find great jobs and helping our community grow. And we work with businesses of all sizes. So we do a lot of outsourcing where we do the HR as you described, we do payroll and benefits, and we also have a national presence now. And a lot of Pensacolians don't necessarily know how we've grown and changed over the years, but we do work with national businesses of all sizes, whether that's doing some consulting work, we do recruiting, and we do searches for specialized roles within HR, but also marketing and executives. And that national presence, we have clients and employees in California and Colorado and Texas, really just all over the country. And so it's an exciting time of growth and transition for Landrum. And I'm happy to be a part of that and really sharing the information about all the things that we do today that we didn't necessarily do 50 years ago. And how we've grown and evolved, and what that means to even more services that we can bring into our Pensacola community, because the Pensacola community is certainly growing and
Mhm.
evolving. There's a lot more larger businesses, setting they're setting root here in Pensacola or growing their business, and they need even more complex services around their people. So it's really just exciting to see all these things that we did nationally, we're doing here locally because businesses are growing and thriving and changing here in Pensacola. And they even need more than they needed, 20, 30 years ago.
Right. Well, there was a time where you could just, look around. If you had a job opening, you could, well, who's got a son or daughter who's graduated
Right.
from college? Let's put them in. I know a lot of jobs for a long time were Navy spouses that were in town and be able to help them find something. The, the, uh, the headhunting component, that executive search in this very, very competitive job market is got to be um, a real growth opportunity for Landrum.
Yeah, it really is. And, we really look at what does a client need from a talent perspective? What can they afford for the positions that they have? And how do we best help them fill that role? And so I'll use some industry terminology, but so sometimes with smaller business, they may want someone that's more strategic, a more executive leader, but A, they may not be able to afford it yet, and B, they may not need it full time. So sometimes we'll suggest to a smaller business that's growing and changing, hey, maybe you need a fractional leader, somebody that isn't necessarily sitting in your office full time, but they can bring a lot of strategic value. They can help you get to where you want to be. And they don't have to come sit in a seat for 40 hours a week. They can be more fractional. They may have multiple clients that they work with, but they're helping you get to a different space. Or sometimes you may need something more temporary. You've got a big project to accomplish. You don't want to fill a seat full time, but you need someone for 6 months because you've got this big undertaking that you're trying to do. So, how can we help you find someone more on the short term basis that can get you to that next step? But you don't necessarily need a full time position. And then, of course, there is that executive search. They know they need somebody, they're ready for a next level of leadership. We help we help even design, well, what do you think you need, and what does that person's role look like, and how do they work with your employees, and what do you expect them to do? And then we can go out and find that person really anywhere in the country. And a lot more companies have gotten flexible with, even in Pensacola, we don't necessarily need them to be here all the time. They can live in, they can live somewhere else. They can travel, to the main location, to their corporate location, do good work, but they could not necessarily be living here today. So that part of the job has actually given the opportunity for businesses to get a lot of talent because they aren't necessarily only looking in one community where their business may be. They may say, hey, as long as they live in the Southeast and they can get here, and they can be here a week or two, a month, whatever that looks like for them, we're happy for them to come and work with us. And so the access to talent and people, and kind of thinking about what the company needs, and maybe that person may not be sitting necessarily in your community, they may be somewhere else. But I can tell you, a lot of times if we do that for people in Pensacola, for companies, the executives end up saying, hey, I think I'm going to move to Pensacola. It's a pretty awesome place once I spend some time
Right.
here.
Yeah, we saw Florida West did a lot of that during COVID. And we saw a lot of people move who were from here that worked for big companies and used the chance to come home and work remotely. And it's worked well for the employers as well as for them and their families. I've got to think, Kara, though, the news that we've been getting, gosh, the last week or so about the growth of AI
Yeah.
and what that's going to do to companies and entry level jobs, and how people automate and take advantage of it, and what jobs are going to look like. You're on the precipice of a lot of
Yeah.
this movement of, as AI becomes more important, but also figuring out what kind of workforce people need.
Yeah, there's so many facets and great questions, great comment there. But I think just one of the most important ways that we try to work with all of our clients, no matter what size, is just asking a lot of great questions around their philosophy as a
Mhm.
business and who do they want to be. And as tech emerges, whether that's AI, no matter what it is, what's your philosophy as leaders as to how it fits into your business? How do you see that evolving, the people that you have in the workplace today? What skills do they need? How are we going to help them get to a different place if they need to upskill, if they need to learn new things? What can you bring in to do that? And then what additional talent just doesn't exist in your company today that you need to add? And so we find there's never just a cookie cutter solution, and it's always like slices of a pie, and always thinking about, okay, there's my current workforce and I want them to be able to grow and evolve and be who we need for the future. So there's some commitment that I have to make to training and education and upskilling. And then I know there's some new talent that's going to need to come into my business, and they're going to bring a whole new set of skills, a background. And so we've got to go find those people that are going to fit. And then ultimately, what role does technology have in whatever you do in the way that you serve your clients? Is it going to replace, interactions with people? Are you going to keep people at the forefront of your organization, and you want the technology to be more in the background and kind of doing a lot of things that maybe people did before so they can be more in front of the clients? And so I can tell you that's our answer for Landrum is, and the way we're thinking about our own technology is, it's really a bridge to help our employees have even more time with our clients. And so, can we have some tasks that get automated, that are maybe more repetitive, that don't necessarily need people interaction? And can we take those people that are working and great in our company at all that they do, and have them bring even more value to our clients by building better relationships, spending more time with them? And I think a lot of companies are thinking the way we are, of just how do we build up our workforce to do more, and how can we utilize the technology, the AI, to kind of be more of a foundation of things that we don't necessarily need people to touch.
Right. Yeah. And I'm seeing that in our business, in journalism, and as so much information in so many different places, and how you disperse that information, and the way I write an article today is very different than 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And how to get that message across. You look like you're having fun. Yeah.
I've been here about 8 years, and my background was in insurance. That's how I started: business development, sales and business development, insurance. But I actually have known the Landrums for a very long time because my son Jake and Britt and Keena's son Braden were in kindergarten together.
That's Pensacola. That's
That's
Pensacola.
Pensacola. And I've known the Landrums. I knew Keena first, and she was the best room mom ever. And actually, our boys are roommates still at FSU, so they've got a
Right.
long relationship. So it's really special for me because I had a long time of admiring Landrum, and knowing who Landrum is, knowing who the people are within Landrum, and just really respecting the business and the people, and then having the opportunity to come in and do some things that were part of my background, and then also being able to grow into learning a lot more about the overall business, and now taking this step as president, which Britt is not stepping back.
Right.
He's still here every day. He's still a great integral part of the business, and we have a great way to work. He has a lot of vision. He brings a lot of strategy and growth perspectives into our business, and I take those and I say, okay, how are we going to go carry this out? And I have good opinions of them myself, and so it's a great, and our leadership team that we have grown here at Landrum, is really buying into how do we take what we've done for the first 50 years and how do we modernize it and make it even more successful into the next 50 years. And so we've got a great team here, and it's just fun to be here every day.
Well, and I'd like that coming downtown has integrated you even more in the community.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all's outreach, the 5K run that y'all do has
Yeah.
become a big deal, kind of part of everybody's fall calendar, and it's given it back to the community. But I think as a whole, it's an exciting time for y'all's business. Definitely an exciting time for you to be a leader in it. I'm going to lean on you in the future to see what kind of trends that you're seeing out there, because I think with your position, the position of Landrum, y'all are on the cusp of a lot of things that are going on. So you'll become one of my experts that I'll lean on.
Love it. Yeah. And if I don't know the answer, I know somebody on my team does. And they're probably a lot smarter than me about it. But, we work with hundreds of
Right.
clients throughout Northwest Florida of all sizes, of all industries. And we really do have a great pulse on what's growing, what's changing, how are employers thinking. And we try to surround a lot of our programming around let's get clients together. They may not do the same thing, they may not be the same size, but let's have good conversation. And we brought Ildi Hossman into our organization a number of years ago. And I know you know her. She is absolutely fabulous. She's very networked in the Northwest Florida area, and her passion is around people too. So it was a great fit for us. And Ildi helps us really just think about how do we get people together? How do we have good conversations? Let's do a summit around workplace issues, and let's invite our clients. Let's invite panelists. So we're always trying to think of ways we can use our downtown office space. How can we get clients together? How can we have good conversations? And how can we bring data to them based on all the data that we have of working with all these hundreds of clients in Northwest Florida? And how can it help them be thinking a little bit differently about their business and their growth?
Well, great. Well, Kara, thank you so much for doing this show. We will do it often. And listen, I always protect my sources.
Yeah.
So you're okay.
Okay, good. All right. Well, it's great to see you. Thanks so much.
So have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching, and to keep up with what's going on, be sure and subscribe. Just click on the little dog to the right and click the subscribe button. You can also like this video and click on the bell, which will notify you of new content. This really helps the channel grow. We appreciate you.